Hello, everybody. I think you know who I am. I don't have to do much. I don't want to bore you with stuff about me. But I am the Chief Revenue Officer at Success Coaching, and my name is Aaron Thompson. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is actually show you some information that I gathered on LinkedIn when I asked the very simple question, what does it mean to you to do customer success? And then what are the best practices therein? I'm going to take you through about 9 or so of those. And then a few maturity assessments out there, actually, that I found publicly on Google. So the LinkedIn question, very basic, what does it mean to do, quote unquote, customer success? And I got some answers that were pretty wordy. I'm not gonna read that whole slide to you, but you can see the varying responses, right? Yeah, I liked this one here. Give it to me in one line as like an interview question, and the interviewees end up going on a 5-minute long monologue because they can't explain it in an elevator pitch, right? I love this here, I'm here to make you successful, etc. And that's what I mean. As an industry, we need to start to look at what are the best practices. How do we create some standardization in this industry? Like, what does a health score mean from one company to another? The input criteria of that shouldn't be so variable. Yeah, there's gonna be some nuances and stuff, but the core, we should at least be able to agree on some level of core best practices for that particular example. So, do or do not? That is the question, right? Any Star Wars fans? Anybody? No? Nah, Star Wars isn't very popular over here. Yeah? I thought everybody loved Star Wars. Anyway, that guy's name's Yoda, if you're not familiar. Okay, so let's take a little bit more tactical viewpoint of customer success. So I'm going to take you through it. Like I said, I think there's 9. And again, just like yesterday, my slides got messed up. Happens every single time, I swear. But the ICP. Who knows what an ICP or your ICP is? You guys have defined them? Are there folks who have not defined an ICP? Are there folks who are just like, I'm tired of raising my hand. This is the 4th presenter in a row who's asked us to raise our hands. Yeah, so the ICP, Ideal Customer Profile. Number 2, and I'm going to give you some examples of each of these. I'm going to come back to them as well. Number 2, the customer journey. Who has a customer journey map defined? Hell, actually a lot more of you. Good. I'll take you through similar what I showed you yesterday. If you guys were there was everybody at the beer hall yesterday? Yeah? Okay. So I can move through that part pretty quick as well. Number 3, success planning. This is a core competency of customer success. If you're not doing success planning, you're not doing customer success. The whole point of going to a subscription model where we get a little bit of money over time instead of a whole bunch of money up front. When we sold physical products, we got all that money up front. Now we get a little bit through a subscription as a service, right? The whole point of that is to be able to predict renewal. You can't predict renewal if you're not doing success planning. So I'm going to take you through actually how we do it at Success Coaching, and I'm going to give you some resources where you can go download it for free, instruction manual to teach people at your organizations, etc. Number 5, executive business reviews, EBRs. I've spoken all year about QBRs and how stupid they are. I was in Tel Aviv and did a keynote on that. I'll show you where you can find that if you're curious. But the concept of executive business reviews is critical so that we can demonstrate the value that we've been delivering. Customer success comes down to 3 Ds that I'm going to walk you through a little bit later as well. But spoiler alert, the third one is to demonstrate the value that you've been delivering to your customer. That's why EBRs are a necessary evil, and I'm happy to talk more about that. Number 6, health scores. Again, we all try to do them. I mean, we should, right? In customer success, we're always trying to be proactive and strategic. Customer support is reactive and tactical. Answer the phone, put out the fire, fix the problem. Customer success is proactive and strategic. We're always trying to be predictive in nature, and that's what health scores let us do. They allow us to get out. We heard earlier this morning about lagging indicators, churn and renewal. Well, some leading indicators, one would be your health score, but the question is, what do we put in it? Who's doing health scoring? All right, this will be good because I'll get to see what I suggest we do, where y'all are at on that. Okay, segmentation strategy. I'm going to come back and show you one actually. What I did at Fortel when I was the head of customer success for the first time, I came in and I had to fix the churn problem. 40% year-over-year churn rate. They said you got 12 months to bring it under 10%. If you do, you get a big bonus. If you don't, you're going to lose your job. I said, sign me up. And that's when I learned and found customer success, and I implemented a strategy. The very first thing I did was segmentation. I had too many customers, and I had to make heads and tails of them so that I could be more strategic with the top-tier customers and not wasting my time with that bad fit. Goes back to the ICP, bad fit customer. I talked about that yesterday as well. Plays and playbooks, number 8. This is going to create our standardization, and I'll show you that as well. And then finally, the VOC, the voice of the customer, your feedback mechanism. Those are the 9 best practices. But add to that from my experience, I've got a couple other things that I'd like to float by you, and maybe it'll make sense. The 3 Ds of customer success. And I've got a full article out on redslacks.com if you want to read more about it. But in short, the first D is defining what success is to you. We'll talk about how we do that, etc. Speaking of, sorry, I don't have speaker notes up here, so I'm kind of shooting from the hip. All right, this is how we can define it. Has everybody seen this by this point? Or is this new to anyone? Who's this new to? Oh, wow. Amazing. Okay, so luckily for my chicken brain, my tiny little chicken brain, when I found customer success, it had this formula that was small enough for me to understand. I am far from a math major, my wife will tell you. But the definition of success, and this is different for every human. When I say customer, I mean a person. I don't mean a logo. I don't mean a brand. I don't mean an account. People, like I said yesterday, people make these decisions. And so these people have a desired outcome that they're looking to achieve. So that's a pain to relieve or a gain to achieve. They all come down to that. I've got a pain point, I got a problem I need you to help me solve, or I want to get bigger, faster, stronger, etc. What I'm looking to achieve, plus how I want to achieve it. Desired experience. So the desired outcome plus the desired experience is what quantifies what success is to all of us. And we do this as consumers every day. You buy a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, which you can get anywhere in London, but you buy it at the same place every time because it's on the bus route, it's convenient, the people know you by now, whatever the case may be. We do this all the time as just humans, but we don't think about it in these terms. And so CS equals CO plus CX, meaning deliver what I want and do it how I want. That's why QBRs are stupid, because many VPs, by the way, VP of anything has about 13 SaaS vendors. They all have CSMs. They all have leaders who are telling them to do QBRs. If they said yes to every QBR request, that's all they would do. Sit around and listen to their vendors tell them how great they are. So when we try to force them into a QBR, we're actually trying to demonstrate the O's that we've been delivering, and we actually increase the friction on the X's. And thus we degrade the overall volume of success. So give me what I want, give it to me how I want, and do it better than my competition or your competition, and you will have delivered a higher volume of whatever success is to me. That's where success planning comes in. I'm going to come back to that. But we want to map out, literally, what do you want to achieve? I teach a class called outcome-based selling. We don't sell what the thing is anymore. We sell what the thing does, because that's ultimately what they want. Our products and services are nothing other than a tool for them to solve problems. And so we want to define what those problems are, and then define how we want to get them from point A to point B. And now you have your definition of success. Go deliver that. That's the next D. So once I've defined it, I'm going to deliver that every day, week, month, quarter, year. I'm working tactically with you to continue to grow all of the different value propositions and all the stuff, all the pains that we relieve or gains that we help them achieve. And then number 3, demonstration. That's it. The whole industry comes down to those 3 Ds. It doesn't have to be as complicated as we make it. Define what it is in that definition, then give me that, how I want it, and then make sure I know about it. Anybody get that? No? Anybody got Spotify? You did. Okay, can you briefly just jump in here and tell us what's, I don't have a mic for you or anything. That's it. So Spotify subscribers get an email at the end of the year. And they do this at massive scale, hundreds of millions of subscribers. And they show me the insights of my listening behavior. Now, in the product era, when I bought CDs and put them in my 6-disc changer in my Volkswagen Jetta, nobody knew what I listened to and how long and stuff. But now, since I get my music as a service, they focus on that. And then they take that and they show me all these unique habits. I know who I listen to at what time. I'm frankly a Grateful Dead in the morning kind of guy, Beatles around lunch, and then it's a whole crapshoot of stuff in the afternoon. I wouldn't have known that, maybe anecdotally, but they show me literally down to the minute how much music I listened to last year for my $9 a month subscription. That is an annual business review done at massive scale that is only there to demonstrate to me the value that I got. Because as we go into the new year, we all look at our credit card and think, man, we got a lot of streaming services. Right? Start crossing them off your personal P&L, your credit card statement, canceling the subscriptions. Spotify wants to stay above the line and make sure that I don't cancel them. They make it so stupidly obvious to me, all of the value that I'm getting for my subscription, that I continue to renew. I don't imagine I'll ever leave Spotify. Okay, so what are some best practices of this? Let's go through an ICP. Well, when you build an ICP, it's not any different than really playing darts. You've got an ICP1 that's your dead center perfect fit. Typically, that is your initial use case that your product went to market with. The founders probably lived that life, had that pain, and then built a solution for it. And so we can look at customers as they're coming through our funnel and evaluate them in terms of where we were at that point and those pains that we solve. Then you get your ICP2s, that's your stretch fit. It's not designed for that, but it could do it, right? We didn't think about that use case, but yeah, I think that would work. Those are your stretch fit. That means the O's that they want to achieve, the CO, is possible, but it's probably going to take more on the CX side. Does that make sense? Because we have to now stretch. Maybe there's additional coding that needs to be done, or implementation, or configuration, some sort of agents that I talked about yesterday. But in order to deliver that CO, we know it's going to take a higher lift. And we want to make sure that we right size for that. And then we've got the ICP3s. Like, these are the ones that we probably should not have signed. The squeaky bad fit customer who takes all of our time and takes all of our ability to be strategic with the most important, valuable, highest paying customers we have. So there's your ICP. Let's talk about a customer journey. You saw this yesterday. Everybody saw this yesterday, right? Okay, was anybody not there yesterday? A few of you, okay. So I'll go really quickly through it because I don't want to bore the whole group. But in short, this is a customer life cycle. And at the top, you have your marketing engine, demand gen and awareness. Outbound, inbound, pay-per-click, SEO, blog posts, webinars, funny-looking logos that have the donkey and the plunger. Whatever you do so people know you exist. Red pants every time you go to a conference. Whatever it is, okay? Because if you don't know I exist, you can't end up in my sales funnel to evaluate us against our competition based on whatever pain or gain you're looking to achieve, right? The COs again. And then from there, some will decide to become a customer. So that's why it's the big land and expand funnel, right? Big net at the top in order to be able to land a subset of customers. Onboarding is activate. So this is customer success as we think of it. We live here. We got marketing in the red, we got sales in the green, and then we have what we think of as post-sale, bottom of funnel, back of house, whatever you call it. You'll hear all those out there. And what we do is activate, right? Onboarding your customers, frictionless onboarding, time to value I talked about yesterday. Optimize, that's when they're getting their legs under them. Best practices, no shelfware. I'm not paying for anything that I'm not getting value from. You've done some business reviews. I've confirmed for you that, yes, I agree. I achieved that outcome, or we're on our way, right? All comes out of success planning. And then when you do the 3Ds effectively, if you define for me what success is, and then you deliver that, and then you demonstrate it to me, I will renew. If I don't renew, you didn't do one of them. You either didn't define it correctly, and so then you delivered the wrong thing, or you didn't deliver it in the first place, or maybe you did all that right, but you didn't make it so stupidly obvious, much like Spotify does, for me to continue renewing year after year. Okay, I talked yesterday about in the subscription era, once we get a customer down here, they should never need to go back up there because it's an infinite life cycle now. They're not buying the product, so it's not going to wear out and drive them back into the market. And so when we think of customer success, think of it as all of this, not just this. We are not just an organization that lives at the bottom of the funnel. Customer success is a corporate culture of customer centricity, like we heard about this morning. It's a business growth strategy that says, I'm going to focus my resources down here so that my customers renew, and then we get into expansion. Same people using more, doing more, buying more. Make them so wildly successful that they speak positively about you in the community and generate your CSQLs into your funnel. I talked yesterday about the acquisition cost, 1/13, give or take, of a CSQL versus a typical MQL and SQL. That's where the growth comes from. That's what customer-driven growth means. And all of this is customer success. How we market, how we sell, and then what we can deliver needs to be aligned around those outcomes and those definitions of success. And then we're going to refine that ICP like I talked about yesterday, because over time we learn good fit, bad fit, stretch fit customers, and we need to help marketing narrow that target of who they go after up there at the top of the funnel. Okay, success planning. Here's how we do it at Success Coaching, and like I said, I'll give you some resources. You can go download it. Oh, excuse me. You can go download it. But this is what it looks like. There's 7 boxes I'm going to walk you through, and it's a very simple way to take a project management approach to success. What is success? Well, that's pretty arbitrary, right? We're going to have to talk to them. We build this with the customer because it's not our definition of success. We don't have the pain point that they're trying to solve. They do. And so we work with them to define this and plan out not only what success is, but how we're going to get them there. Think of this as an analogy where you're going on a road trip with your customer. And at the beginning of the journey, you're pulling out the roadmap and you're defining where do we want to go, where are we relative to that, and then what are we going to have to do along the way to get from point A to point B. So this is your roadmap. Your customer is the driver of the car. The product or service that you sell is the car itself. It's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool to help people solve problems. And so that's just like a car on a road trip. And then our role in customer success is to be the navigator. Sitting shotgun, helping you use that tool effectively. But this is your roadmap. So company highlights is just simply, if I Google you, what are you going to find? Okay? I've founded here, based here, does this, that kind of stuff, right? Then you move into objectives. Those are your COs. What are the business goals and objectives that you're looking to accomplish through the use of our products and services? And then, so this is, in short, what they want, right? It's what they want to solve. Benefits right here is why they want it. That's important to know. I not only need to know what you're looking to achieve, but I also need to know why, because that's what then leads to expansion conversations. I can get more strategic with you if I understand the whys behind what you're looking to do. And so the benefits are hugely important. Over here, it's how you know you got it, success criteria. What are we going to do to prove it? Well, reduction in call time, save me this time, give me this ROI, whatever it is, right? And then you get the measurable, quantifiable measurements of success. If you can't measure it, you can't prove to me I got it. And now you're going to fail that third D, and now we have to figure out how we renew this customer. But if you can measure it and you can prove to me that I got it, make it so stupidly obvious, I will renew and expand and advocate, and I'll stay at that bottom of that funnel over and over. Go from optimize to renew, et cetera. Over here, we've got challenges. It's just basically like, like when rolling out products in the past, what are some challenges you've had? Oftentimes, it's like timeline. Maybe they don't have an internal training team. Whatever it is, right? But we're building this with the customer. Just like on a road trip, we would be building that map with the driver. And then you've got your project management. Milestones, actions, and dates. That's it. User acceptance testing, system integration testing, rollout, go live, business review. Whatever are these things along the way that we're going to be going through between point A and point B. Put all of that together, you have not only what success is in terms of desired outcomes, but what success is in terms of a desired experience. You have your formula right there on that sheet. Intentionally one page, All of the technology platforms have a success planning module, but it's text-based. And they end up being these big books of information that are ineffective just because there's so much in there. So we've made it one page on purpose. You can move this around, change the boxes. I personally think this one's too big. I don't want to use that much real estate just for like what I can find on Google. But this will give you a place to start. We have a case study done on it. We've got customers all around the world. HP, VMware, Red Hat, NetApp. They've all adopted this, rolled it out to hundreds of CSMs around the world, and are profoundly changing how they work with their customers. Taking that project management approach to not only what success is, but how we're going to get you there. There's where you can find it, successcoaching.co, resources, success plan canvas, all that stuff's there, free, download it, use it. There's an editable PDF, so you can start using it electronically, and there's an instruction manual to fill in the gaps because I don't have enough time to go into all of everything that goes in there. Okay, number 4, engagement model. An engagement model measures level of perceived effort over time, and it's collective effort. Look at my fancy whiteboard. Anybody who knows me, you've seen me on LinkedIn or anything, you know I love my whiteboard. And so rather than building some sexy slide, I found a way to take what I've literally hand-drawn, put it into Canva, and then out it comes. So, sorry, I'm not much of an artist. But we've got effort over time, and we've got that pre-sales stage. That's the top of the funnel that I just showed you. It's very low because you do such a one-to-many. So on a per-unit economic basis, it's very, very low. And then as they go down that funnel, it starts to go up. Because now we're doing demos, maybe taking them to dinner. They're in that sales cycle. Then you've got your decision. That's where they decide to become a customer. And it skyrockets for onboarding. Highest level of effort your customer will ever have. Highest and biggest opportunity for friction. They have to learn you and your product and services. You got to learn them, their politics, how the business hates the tech team and vice versa. Right? You ever been in that situation? Get on a call with a customer, it's like they're fighting like cats and dogs. Man, I feel like this is a little awkward. I don't think I should be here right now. And then they get to go live, and that's your live production, optimized stage. And then it creeps back up a little bit for renewal. But if you do this right, they just go here, right? And they live in this life cycle in perpetuity. Onboarding only happens once. You've got one shot to get it right. And if you mess it up, you can almost never, ever recover. 90% of the customers who churn at their first available opportunity decided they wanted to do so in the first 30 days of working with you. If you have a 1-year contract and they churn after year 1, there's a 9 times out of 10 chance they wanted to leave in month 1 and just had to ride it out. Good? Arit's going to help me out with my slides. I appreciate it. Executive business reviews, I don't have a ton of time to go into them, but trust me, QBRs are in fact stupid. Just the fact that they are quarterly is stupid. My life is not consistent. Why is your business process consistent? There's times where I do want to sit down and talk to you for an hour, and there's times where I want you to leave me the heck alone. But when you try to force me into a QBR cadence, you're now adding friction to the CX when the number one goal of them is to just simply demonstrate the value you've been delivering. And so you do all this work, and then you make my life more difficult to show me the work that you've done. And so get creative. And I've got article, like I said, you can go to Red Slacks, articles, the QBRs are stupid, and the 3Ds are on there as well. There's also some public speaking keynotes on these topics. Like I said, there they are. I was in Tel Aviv and did a keynote. If you're more of like a watch a video person, it'll give you the too long didn't read. Customer health score, number 6. We're pretty familiar with this. Everybody familiar with this? Red, yellow, greens, happiness, meh, sadness, whatever scale you use. Well, what goes into it? Here are 12 out-of-the-box health score criteria that you can take and implement at your organization. If you want more information, all you have to do is reach out to me. You can connect on Red Slacks or just find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message. I will give you all the background on these. But adoption is the one that we think of. That in itself is not even close to measuring health. That just means I'm in your product or not. There is a myriad of other input criteria that we can use, including loss of primary contact. I don't care if everything else is great, you lose that primary contact, it should go red, it should go unhappy, it should go whatever, because top of funnel now, you have to resell that new executive stakeholder. Okay, segmentation. Here's what I did at Fortel when I had to fix that problem, that churn problem. I just came in, and again, fancy slides, I know. Bell curve, mathematical bell curve. We had about 275 customers. I'm like, I can't manage all of those. And so I put them into a platinum, gold, silver, high, low, tech, 1, 2, 3, whatever, right? Where I had 20% here, 20% down there, and the majority in the middle. What we learned through the 80-20 revenue rule, which you can Google, is that 20% of your revenue lives with this 80% of your customers, meaning 80% of your revenue lives with this 20%. This is where we want to be proactively, strategically working to grow, create advocates out of them, etc. This is probably your ICP fit. But how do you segment? First off, who pays you the most money? Line them up 1 to 100. Start there. Pretty obvious choice. Strategic logo. It could be a big, sexy logo that's going to help you market. So you might put them in the high touch, but they might pay you low or tech touch revenue, but you're doing it intentionally. The whole point is to have an intelligent service model. That's the whole goal. And then you've got strategic vertical. Same premise. You break into a new vertical. Maybe you're going to put them in a higher touch than they're actually paying for. But the ideal situation is that you have all three of those you can sell them into. You've got the lowest tier is free. It's included with your license. But if you want better SLAs, better support times, better customer success, you can pay into it, or you can move all the way up to the top. It doesn't have to be just generated based on software license contracts. Okay, and then proximity to ICP is the last one. The more self-sufficient a customer is, the less touch they're going to require. So if they're an ICP 1, you might be able to have them at a tech touch or low touch and still just nail that outcome all day, every day. It's the stretch fit that you need to have in the higher, and so that's why you gotta have some SKUs that you can sell them. Premium support, platinum, training, whatever. Customer engineering, whatever it's gonna take to deliver the CO that they're looking to accomplish. Because if you don't do this, I've had founders and leaders tell me, well, we just have a high touch model. Like, well, that's just an unintelligent service model then. Because not all of your dollars are the same. We talked about customer acquisition costs and everything. But not all your customers are as strategically important as others either. And again, we see this in our direct-to-consumer lives all the time. Hotel chains, airline miles, that generates revenue. I fly the same airline intentionally because I want my points. I know where I am in their segmentation. But on the B2B side, we think there's something wrong with not trying to pretend like every customer is the same. So, high touch model means CSMs. For every X CSMs, we're going to hire, or for every X customer, we're going to hire Y CSMs. That's high touch. This is CS at scale. I need to have infinite customers without having to have infinite CSMs. That's where tools, process come into play, et cetera. Plays and playbooks is just simply documentation so that you can standardize what you do. You want every CSM to do the same things the same way. And so we're going to standardize that in our plays and playbooks. When this and you have two types, by the way. You got event-based plays, and then you got time-based plays. And so some will be based on just after a period of time we do this thing. Others will be when an event either does or does not happen, we do this thing. So you got two different types of plays and playbooks. Voice of the customer, that's your feedback mechanism. It helps you assess their level of maturity. And let's see. Bear with me. Oh, yeah, here. I'm getting to the end. I'm going to move quick through these. So, your own assessment. If you want to assess your own customer success organization to decide where you're at on the maturity scale, which I'll show you what the scale looks like in a second, here are some things that I found. I've got a data-driven approach from TSIA. I've got a venture capital approach from OpenView Partners. I've got a community approach from Customer Imperative, which was GGR before GGR. So again, sign up for GGR if you're not in there. And then CS as a service from a company that does that. And I'm going to show you what their maturity assessment looks like. This is all on Google. If you just go Google Customer Success Maturity Index or Assessment, you'll get this. So here's TSIA's from 2017. There's where you can find it if anybody is curious, or Google it. And here's what they do. They have forming, storming, norming, and performing. That's your maturity. From forming up to performing, and then the what's, the how's, the when's, the why's, and the who's. That's TSIA. Oh yeah? Okay. Is this what you're talking about? Overview partners. Okay. From the venture capital, follow the money. From the venture capital perspective, there's where you can get it, and this is what OpenView Partners looks at it as. Aware, ad hoc, aware, repeatable, predictable, activating. The whole point here is you have different levels of maturity across your people, process, technology, and you want to assess where you're at relative to what these data, I mean, that's from 2016. Yeah, and it's still, I'm sure it still works. Here's the community one that I found from Customer Imperative. Pretty similar to what you just saw, ad hoc, repeatable, managed, measurable, people, systems, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? 2019 on that one. And then this is from ESG. They do customer success as a service. They've got a little different take on it. This is the most recent one I found. There's where you can find it. But they've got build, operationalize, transform, and then they have more tactical approaches. Start with segmentation, move through here, then you move up there, then you move up there. 17 steps to go from building your CS organization to transforming it. And of course, they're happy to help you with that, blah, blah, blah. 2020, that's when that one came out. So my point is there's all sorts of stuff out there. The whole point, where do you start? How do you get? First off, if you're living the hero world, that's good. That means you're starting because everyone begins in the hero. When you build a CS organization, you're reactive and tactical, and you're driving that hero, making those hero plays. Then you want to get to operational. Well, how you get there is through strategic. You have to start here, then you want to apply your strategy, plays and playbooks, and all those best practices we just talked about, and then that's where you can actually get to operationalized. Or you could look at it like that from my whiteboard. All right, to summarize, rising tides raise all boats. Our mission at Success Coaching is to help people get into and thrive within the customer success industry. We are all in this together. That's why these events are so amazing, especially community-driven ones like this. You know, it's an independent conference. There is no technology vendor that's hosting it. That's why this is, I have not missed a TCC since they started them because I learn so much every time I come to it. So let's work together to standardize the industry. Let's figure out what goes into a health score and agree on at least a level setting or a baseline to begin with. There is no try. It is only simply do or do not. If you want to find more, you can, again, redslacks.com, all free. It's my personal site, successcoaching.co under that resources tab. Tons of free stuff. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you so much. You've been great.